work is still 98%, not complete. Next. Knowledge is still 96%. Next. They say everything is low. Mother Teresa, low, everything conquered, but it's only 54. Next. Luck, he's lucky, that's only 47. Next. So what makes it 100%? Next. We have to go a little bit. Money, 72. Next. Leadership, still 89%. So what it takes, a little bit more. Next. Next. I think it is attitude. Nani Palkiwala in all his books, he said it is the mindset. Next, is it the last one? Or? Yeah, well, I'm lucky. I travel home to home on an average, initially started as one. I go 3, 4, even 5 times a year to India. And it's not just India. We have a potential to change the children's lives all over. That is our potential. There are 1.2 million physicians of Indian heritage and incredible number of top-notch engineers. Next. This is how they most recently are just, and said there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. Nelson Mandela, after 26 years of the way in which he was treated, still he remained as a man of peace, almost like Ashoka. Next. Was that, yeah. This is all from the internet. The incredible things are there. They look, sound so beautiful, but always, my English teacher used to say, the proof of pudding is in eating, not how much sauce, there is a primary health center, there is another group, but how are they working with a basic dharma? This is all from the internet proposed. It sounds so excellent, but if you can make it, and the ECOL type of people organization should lead it, in my opinion. You are the best of all. Next. Yeah, the Institute for a Children's Wing in Andhra Pradesh, Rajahmundry, there's one of my friends, engineer friends, said, hey, I can't do all those things, I can't travel with you, and he's an IT guy, he does all these things. Next, and this is the end. They show that the galaxy, we are just a piece, a speck in the universe. And he got that, and thank you for your attention. I'm very glad. This is the most negative, somebody, when I say something like this, say, why are you, Raju, so negative? What is negative about it? If we recognize our own shortcomings, that is the true roots of Sanatana Dharma. You look into yourself, you don't need to look at outside. That is the 70% of children, girls, below the age of 5 are anemic. We can change it within 6 months if we have to. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Raju. Your spirit, warmth, is a great inspiration for us. Thank you very much for bringing the cause of children and working for them. Yeah, so we can take questions now.
Yes, sir.
In vitamin A deficiency, is there a program that all children get vitamin A capsules once a month or once every 6 months?
Not once a month. Actually, it's once in 6 months is enough.
6 months.
If the mother is feeding the child, they get enough vitamin. The next child is born, so the first child, 1.5 years or 2 years, whatever, no more is got the nutrition. So the first child is getting milk. Those are the children. Next to 2-3 years, they need 2 pills a year. 6 months. 1 vitamin pill stays in the liver for 6 months. It is that simple. Yeah. But one of the writers, this is about 4 years ago, the lady who was in charge of all this, it is on the internet. We don't have a deficiency, we don't need it anymore, she wrote. What can I say? Sometimes we can become intellectual arrogance because we sent a mission to Mars, but anything is, that's the, oh yeah, it is there on the internet. Previous, I don't remember her name. She was the head of at Delhi, she wrote, and the program was stopped. Whereas in Nepal, Bangladesh, Cambodia, we analyzed all of them with Hopkins. They did much better because they felt, oh, we need to do it. That's why 70% of the girls below the age of 5, stunted, anemic, what are all the other things? West Virginia and Mississippi, things like that, you know. But yeah, it's not the negativity, you know, when people, we have to look at ourselves rather than commenting on somebody else. Yeah.
We can have one more question. Sure.
I think it's like, you know, sound like everybody. The only way you can actually turn that into a beam and go through a steel, collaboration together. So how can all these different efforts be raised from high to make the system work so that you know,
Simple word, you cooperate rather than saying others not cooperating. You know, leadership with cooperation.
Do we have such an insight in the curriculum we develop to teach our doctors? Unless they develop this type of insight in their curriculum, do we have something? Rather than just making them good physicians, this type of moral insight to develop.
No, moral insight to me anyway, since you asked, you used the word moral. Moral insight comes from mother and father first. I don't think the institutions and those, yeah, they may help some, I think, some. Yeah.
In curriculum, they could have something.
Yeah, some ethic, you know, medical schools have, it's not just single out a medical doctors only, because I always say no, especially in this country, medical students are not getting enough on nutrition, not enough on psychiatry. You know, I don't think in 4 years how much they can, really do that. I don't think it's not just the medical doctor. I feel in 1986 there is a book called Media, the Second God. If anybody is aware, look at the comment. John Schwartz, I think Schwartz, Media, the Second God. I think media, if you positively use evidence, I think we can make a big difference. Like, cricket is God in India, football is God in this country. I think media is real God.
And thank you. And speaking of curriculum, I don't know how it is in India, but the medical schools here, at least in Georgetown University, they are going back to the ancient medical system like the current medicine, which is just 200 years old. But they are also including the alternative medicine into it, the complementary and alternative medicine, where mindfulness is very important, plays a very important role. Since if you teach it to the children or adults, if they are mindful, they can prevent accidents and need for the medicine and treatment, and they can also prevent so many eye accidents, so can prevent blindness. I hope the Indian medical schools also go back to their roots and inculcate in this current medical education system. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Dr.
So if I can get everybody's attention, actually we're gonna kind of move the schedule a little bit. Apologize for that, but actually we are honored to have our keynote speaker who just arrived. And so we're going to have the keynote speaker go first, and then after that will be followed by Aaron Hines. So to introduce our keynote speaker, I'm going to bring up the Honorable Honorable Mr. Bruce Adams to give us an introduction and from Montgomery County. So let's give a big round of applause for him.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here. Most of all, thanks to all of you for coming to learn about these incredibly important and great causes. My name is Bruce Adams. I'm with the County Executive's Office of Community Partnerships. I have a great role of working for a boss, your keynote speaker, Ike Leggett, whose view is that Montgomery County should be the most welcoming community in, I always say in America, but he always says in the world. So I think that's a better standard. Early on, right after he was elected, he said to me, we need a sister city program. And I thought, well, what a great idea. And then I thought, oh my goodness, how are you going to pick one city in one country and one continent in the whole world, we're going to make everybody else mad. But fortunately, I went to the Sister City International website and I looked at this and found that everybody had figured that problem out, and that communities like ours that want to be welcoming communities have multiple sister cities. So we went first to El Salvador. In fact, we're returning in a couple of weeks to El Salvador. Went to Ethiopia, then we went to China, and last year we went to India. So before the county executive speaks, I am going to call up our team to make sure we get a photo. But I want to especially thank Sashi for, she came to us and she said, you need to go to the rural villages, you need to see Echo. And I'm like, really? How are we going to do that? And she said, I'm going to arrange everything, but you need to do it. So lots of people with creative ideas come and see me. I have this wonderful job thanks to the county executive. And it's usually best to say okay when they come with these ideas, even if it's like, really, how are we going to fit this in this long trip? So I just want to say to you that I've had a chance to have multiple sister city trips to El Salvador, to Ethiopia. We've been to China, we've been to India. And that day that you took us to see the schools was really one of the most moving, inspiring, and worthwhile days of all the trips that we've had with the sister city program. So my job now is to introduce the county executive, but will our team from our sister city come up? And Sashi, will you come up? And Ike, will you come up? And we want to get a photo of the team here before the county executive speaks. So he just left one of the most moving meetings that you will ever see. You know, America did not treat its Vietnam veterans well, did not honor the veterans. And today, over at the University of Shady Grove, I believe it was the 40th anniversary of the end of the war in Vietnam. The county executive was won awards for his honor for his work in Vietnam, and the University of Shady Grove was packed with folks celebrating and finally saying thank you to our Vietnam vets. He left this meeting where he was the star of the show to come and talk to you. This is his dedication to this work. Ike, will you come up and let's take a photo before you talk. Let's have a photo. All right, this is our India team, all right? Sanjay and Ram were our leaders. They took us there, and we had a fabulous trip. All right, thank you. I give you the county executive.
Thank you, and good afternoon now. I apologize for being a little bit late, but we had conflicting programs that overlapped to some degree today. Let me first of all acknowledge your presence here, the great work that you do, not only around the globe, but certainly here in Montgomery County. I see so many leaders who have had such an integral part in helping to make Montgomery County one of the more welcoming places in America. I've been asked today to talk a little bit about the role of education and how my life and what we do in Montgomery County sort of fits into that. I'll try not to be too long. Just the other day, there was a story written in the Washington Post, I think it was on Thursday, and it talked about the relationship between myself and County Executive Baker from Prince George's County. And it talked about the role, at least it started with professor and student. And for many of the people in Montgomery County, they've known me more or less as a public official, serving a role as one time as a county council member for many years. I served as the chair of the county's Human Rights Commission, and ultimately starting in 2006 and counting as county executive. And so many people see me in that role and assume because I have played such an integral part in public life for Montgomery County that politics and elective office is in fact my passion. It really is not. To be honest with you, I'm very uncomfortable in the public life. I'm very uncomfortable actively pursuing political life. I do not like the aspect of campaigning. I certainly dislike the aspect of going to people and asking them for monies. I do not like the give and takes and the rough and tumbles aspect of politics. And some people say, well, I find that very strange because despite all of your dislikes about politics and many things that happen in and around politics, you've been rather successful. You were elected as a council member in Montgomery County for 4 consecutive terms. You served as the chair of the Maryland State Democratic Party, and now you've been elected 3 times as county executive. I believe someone said to me some time ago that up until this point, in the history of Montgomery County, my name probably has been pulled more on the lever, and people have probably voted for me more often than any other person in the history of Montgomery County. And that's my real passion really is about education, teaching. And this was a story recently in the Washington Post about that relationship. The fact that I taught law school in the profession for so many years that I'm now working with many of those that I taught in a different relationship. And so how is it that you balance the relationship of once teacher, law school dean, now with your former students, and you're now looked upon as peers? And if you look at that story, that's really what the story is about, that relationship. And I really like the idea of teaching. I see myself more in that role than the role of an elected official in serving. I always thought of myself as the person behind the scene, writing the position papers, writing the statements, preparing the speeches, doing all the strategies, but never ever the person actively engaged outward in politics. And because I'm running and working now with many of our students, I run into some unusual sets of circumstances at times. I recall years ago when I served on the county council, we had a very difficult and contentious matter between Montgomery County and Prince George's County involving the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission. And the way the process works is that if the commission decided on a particular position, then in order to alter that position, both Montgomery County and Prince George's County would have to agree. And if we did not agree, then the default position would go back to whatever the commission would decide. And so in this instance, the commission had literally decided something that was contrary to the interests of Montgomery County, and that Prince George's County was really in favor of the commission's position. So unless the Prince George's County changed its position, no matter how strongly Montgomery County protested, it would default back to the position of the Commission of Montgomery County. And I was serving at this time as the president of the county council. And many of my colleagues on the council were saying to me, you got to get Prince George's County to change its position. It's contrary to our interests. You need to do something to change their position. So I would constantly say to my colleagues, don't worry, I will take care of this. But they were not satisfied. They were constantly hammering. You got to make certain that Prince George's County changes its position. I would say, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Please do not worry, this will be taken care of. And so the day that the 2 councils came together, Montgomery County and Prince George's County, a council member from Prince George's County stood up and he actually made the motion in support of Montgomery County's position. He made the motion that I would have made from Montgomery County. A council member by the name of Ike Gordine. in Prince George's County stood up and made the motion in support of Montgomery's County position. And we all voted for it without any opposition. And as we were leaving the assembly, one of the council members from Montgomery County by the name of Betty Ann Crockett pulled me on the shoulder. She said, "What happened? How is it that the council member from Prince George's County supported the position from Montgomery County? How is it? How did that happen?" I said, "Betty Ann, council member Gordine from Prince George's County, he was my student in law school." Now, it wasn't over, because as I continued to walk, Councilmember Cardine caught up with me. He pulled me on the shoulder, and he still referred to me as professor. He said, "Professor, professor, professor." He said, "I knew that you were way out on a limb with that vote." He said, "I knew you were way out on that limb on that vote." He said, "I thought very hard about just literally sawing that limb from beneath you." I said, "Why would you do that?" He said, "I remember the seat you gave me in property in law school." So I run into all of these people today. And I've had a lot of students. Former Mayor Adrian Fenty of Washington, D.C. was my student. The current mayor of Atlanta, Georgia Kasim Reed, my student. And 2 members of the U.S. Congress were students of mine. And so my role and my belief has been about education. And why is it that I feel so strongly about it? And what does it have to do with the work that you do today? Here's why. I grew up in an era in rural Louisiana. Believe it or not, most people believe that I am from Montgomery County. I'm not. Most people believe that because I've been in elective office for such a long period of time. I'm not from Montgomery County. I'm from Louisiana. Now, many of you, I see every once in a while, people tell me, say, "I've been to Louisiana." I say, "Really?" He said, "Yes, I was down in New Orleans for a convention or for a forum, and I've been to Louisiana." I said, "No, you've been to New Orleans. You haven't been to Louisiana." There's a big difference between New Orleans and the rest of Louisiana. I'm from real Louisiana. And I grew up in literally abject poverty. And how is it that I go from the sense of poverty, one of 13 kids in rural Louisiana, real Louisiana, in the height of Jim Crow segregation, to now to be the county executive, one of the largest, most prosperous, affluent communities in all of America? How is it that you make that transition? And what is it that it has to do with the work that you do? It was because in that rural setting, there were people, teachers in school, and especially my parent, my mother, who valued education. They would say to you that your option to move beyond the boundaries that you see today is through education. They would say to you, despite segregation, Jim Crow, and all the other things, the great potential equalizer is education. That if you apply yourself, if you learn, they would say to you that with that knowledge that you obtain, no one can ever take that away from you. Now, as a young person listening to them, that would go in one ear and out the other. Because how is it that you can see the boundaries beyond them? Because what you see is probably something in books. Growing up as a young person, believe it or not, I never saw a person of color in any professional position. Never saw it. I had never traveled beyond 50 miles or so, maybe 60 miles from my home. And so when you say to me that education can equalize them, can overcome the barriers of poverty, segregation, that's foreign to me. I've never seen it. I've never seen as a young child an African American, Indian, Latino doctor, a nurse, a banker. Never seen it. It was not part of my experience. But I did have people who believe that in education, not only can you see it, but you can live it. That if you can see it, you can live it. And so, when you are trying to, in effect, help young people in poverty today, literally on the other side of the world, who've never seen anything but poverty all of their life, it's hard for them to imagine something far beyond that. Although it may be hard for them to imagine and to see that, it does not relinquish or deter us from trying to give them the option that they may in fact see it. I didn't see it. I didn't understand it. I didn't believe it at first. But that did not deter those in my community. It did not deter my mother, the teachers, from trying to instill it in us and to make it possible. And that's where you come from. They don't see it Christ that way. The horizon doesn't go that far. But you have the ability to provide the option that they might see. And what happens oftentimes when we say, well, the challenge is so enormous. There's so many people in the rural villages, there's so many people in these communities, that we're just one small organization trying to, in fact, do what is right. We cannot help everybody. We can't do that. And so oftentimes we look at the problems and challenges we will face, and we give up because we say, we can't change all of that. It's beyond our capacity to do so. We have not enough resources to, in effect, impact all of those things that we see. Whether it's in India, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in Central America, in any place on this planet, people face that each and every day. It is too difficult. It is too complex. The challenges are too great, and therefore, let's not. Or, we do it for show. We do just